Welcome to color compare of black, speed paint, and contrast colors. This is actually an interesting one, these black and gray colors, because they seem all the same until you actually get them on a model in which they are different enough that choosing the right one is important. So we'll start off here. This is black and gray colors, and I am specifically excluding from this what I would call the Space Wolves style of gray. It's that blue gray. That's going to be in a separate video, and a large part of the reason why is because I don't own the Citadel Contrast version of that paint just yet. But I do have these 5 that I would love to show you, and we'll start off with the Army Painter. Army Painter, 2 color choices. You either want black or gray. It's kind of what the Army Painter's going for. So if you want gray, they say Gravelord Grey. If you want black, Grim Black. But if we look at them, they really are actually 2 different colors of gray. And you'll notice that Grim Black, if you let it, and I did, it will give you some really high highlights. So a couple of coats of that, you can kind of control maybe how dark it is. And so what we really have is 2 different grays here, the Grim Black being maybe darker, but also there's like a kind of a warmth difference, where the Gravelord Grey is maybe a little warmer gray and the Grim Black is a little bit of a colder gray. So there's our Army Painter here. Let's look at Citadel and then we'll compare across ranges. Citadel offers 3 different blacks, and originally their offerings were this black Templar and Basillicanum Grey, and they added in Black Legion. And this is actually kind of an interesting one, because I've heard a lot of talk about, oh, the Black Legion, is it lighter, is it darker? Well, here we have this actual kind of comparison here. What we have is we have 3 very distinct colors. We have Black Legion for when you really want just black, and it does have enough of a contrast to it that it's not a boring kind of flat black. I really love that color a lot. And then you have 2 colors that we might find are actually very similar to the Army Painter's colors. That is Black Templar, which is, again, more of a very dark gray than a true black. But of course, this is just one coat. And then we have Basillicanum Grey, which is a lighter and maybe a little warmer gray than any of these. So the big comparison I'm curious to make here is if we pick up the Army Painter ones and kind of look at them, we'll put them in this order here next to the Citadel ones. We're going to set down Black Legion for a minute. Is the Black Templar and Grim Black kind of the same? Are they the same? They're not quite the same. And so what I would say is, pick the one that maybe does what you want more of those 2. But they're very similar. Gravelord Grey and Basillicanum Grey, another very similar kind of thing. I like a little bit more how the Gravelord Grey goes on, but that can be overcome. The thing that I did find with these, all of the Citadel ones, these ones were they're all very like I don't want to say watery, but they really pulled away. To get a good, like the tops of the heads here, you really had to go over it multiple times, and it kept trying to pull away. You can see a little bit of that here on the corner of the Basillicanum Grey, where it was really pulling away from that corner. And so you do have to kind of fiddle with it, maybe even give multiple coats, but in the end, I think you got some real good colors. So let's answer the question here. If I owned none of these, which would I buy? And what I think I would buy is I would buy the Army Painter. Because I probably am going to get the whole Army Painter set. After all these comparisons, it just seems like, for the price and everything, that's a good starting point. But then I am absolutely buying Black Legion, because Black Legion is just a really nice gray. What is the point of these, the color compares? What am I hoping to do here is something that I don't know if I've been super clear with, even though I filmed a lot of them. So let me kind of walk you through that a little bit at the end of this video. And so this is kind of what I would do. If you have the paints like I do, put them out on swatch sticks like this. You can make your own swatch sticks. I have a video about that. or somehow get them onto some models with the primer you're going to use. Then what you want to do is you want to find your model that you want to paint, and here I have a General Grievous from Star Wars Legion, and I'm going to get him painted up, and I'm going to be using a lot of Contrast and SpeedPaint. And he has two very distinct gray colors. He has his cloak, which is a very dark gray, and then he has kind of his non-armor plated kind of body jointy bits, which are a little lighter gray than his cloak. And so what I'm probably going to do is think about, okay, how dark do I want his cloak to be? And do I want to go all the way to Black Legion? No, because it's definitely a gray color. But of these, what am I going to use? And the answer is I'm probably going to use Black Templar. Grim Black would be another nice choice, but I like this has maybe a little bit more of a, I don't know, just a different hue. It's not a true gray. It's got maybe a little bit of a blue-green to it almost, but it's, it's not a straight gray. So I kind of like that Black Templar. For his jointy bits underneath, what do I want to use for something like that? I could go with the Grim Black, for sure, if I wanted to do that, but I'm probably going to end up doing either an Army Painter Gravelord Grey or a Basillicanum Grey. Those two are so close that I'll probably just use whichever one I happen to grab. I don't know. If I'm worried about touch-ups with the reactivation, I might do Basillicanum Grey, but Gravelord Grey would be just fine, so we'll see which one I happen to grab, but one of those colors. And so that's really the reason why I do this, why I have the swatch sticks for me, but I'm hoping that you can watch this video and say, oh, I don't want to spend all this money on paint just to do a simple comparison. Hopefully this video answers the question for you, and you can only buy what you need. If you look at the paint here at regular retail prices, and yes, there's plenty of ways to get paints cheaper and stuff, but regular retail is the best comparison. We've got, what, $7.80 for each of the Citadel colors, and I'm sure you know how much those are in your own currency if you're not from the US. Plus we've got $4.50 each on here. We're close to, or a little over, maybe $30 of paint at retail prices. Again, I would, get the kits, save the money, but for an apples-to-apples comparison, if you could buy just one of these instead, you're saving some money there. And so that's why, I film these videos for you, is to help you pick, what you want for your models so that you don't have to have a giant rack full of paint. I know it's a lot of fun too, but in case that, that's not what you're going for, which I feel like a lot of people, don't want a giant rack full of paint. They want the colors for their models. Especially if you maybe just play one army of Star Wars Legion or something, for example, and you say, I just want to, get the colors for my army and play the game. That's what I'm all about. Let's do that. Let's get gaming, right? All right, well, hopefully this was helpful to you. Let me know what you think of these gray colors in the comments. As always, take care. Thanks for watching. Let's get gaming.